pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we come to you with humble hearts, and we ask that you give us wisdom as we make decisions that will affect our community. We ask you to bless and protect our employees, police officers, and first responders, and we thank you for the members of the military, both past and present. Father, we ask you to place healing on the President and the First Lady and other people suffering from the COVID. And I ask it in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Before we do anything else, I would like to give a moment of silence for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Thank you.
All right, everybody's here tonight. Minutes.
Motion for the minutes.
Second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney, Bailey,
Yes.
and Schott.
Yes.
Bill.
Motion.
Bennett,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Schott.
Yes.
Hourly workers' time report. Okay, fireman's time.
Motion for the fireman's time. Second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Schott.
Yes.
Clerk treasurer.
Okay, I'm gonna go backwards a little bit here. We have a lot of legislation to go over. I typed up two pieces of legislation today. First one is resolution number 2006, will be your first reading. It's a resolution to authorize the mayor of the Village of Beach City, Ohio to execute a fire and EMS dispatch services agreement with the Board of Trustees of local organized government in cooperation, which is Logic. Will be your first reading. Be the first reading of Resolution -2007, a resolution to authorize the mayor of the Village of Beach City, Ohio to execute a police dispatch services agreement with Logic.
First reading.
Yes, sir, first reading. I have the second reading of ordinance number 2010, an ordinance to revise the rules and regulations governing electric, water, and sewer account management, billing, and collections, and authorizing the cancellation of utility debt owed to the Village of Beach City, which originated prior to the year 2015. Ordinance number 20-11 will be your third reading for vote. An ordinance to increase the 2020 appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the fund account of the Village of Beach City, Ohio. This is for increasing the amount of funds that received for the two draws of the CARES Act for $45,665.20.
Motion. Second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Schott.
Yes.
Ordinance -20-12 will be your second reading. An ordinance to authorize the mayor of the Village of Beach City, Ohio to execute a paid-up oil and lease gas with Asset Resources Utica LLC. This will be your second reading of ordinance number 20-13. I gave each of you a new copy of that this evening. The solicitor made additional changes under section -6, where it goes into the violation of the parking. It's an ordinance to prohibit parking on the east side of Church Street from Redwood Street and continuing southbound therefrom, and to provide a penalty therefor. Your second reading. Each of you have a copy of 2014 tonight. You asked the solicitor to draw a contract up, or actually an ordinance, in regards to the closure of the park in town from dusk to dawn. And the mayor had me pull original ordinance 11-10 and send it to him. He's provided ordinance number 20-14, an ordinance to amend and modify Village of Beach City ordinance number 11-10, establishing hours of Beach City Park closure. That will be your first reading. The last thing I have, and I'm not going to go over it, I'm saving it for the solicitor, was he sent information out that I got today and printed off, and I didn't copy it for you yet. It's information on the ordinance he's working on for modifying the sick time leave when an employee retires. So I've got that here. Oh, I didn't do 2015, no, I must have it attached to something. 2015, first reading. An ordinance to authorize the mayor of the Village of Beach City, Ohio, to execute legal services agreement with the City of Massillon Law Department. Be your first reading. It is attached. Yeah, I've got it. Back up to my normal business. The Bureau of Workers' Comp put out last week, the governor asked for them to reimburse all the businesses in the state of Ohio additional funding, and they've agreed to reimburse the amounts that companies paid in 2019 for our workers' compensation policy. The amount we're getting back should be $11,179.21. If there's an amount due on any business, they'll deduct the most current invoice and send us the difference, but I'm caught up to date on my bills.
So you spread that 11,000 out with all the other, where we took the money out of?
Yes, it's gotta follow where I paid it out of.
Okay.
We received notice from MWG Standard Life, an accidental for the employees. That is the policy that we carry on the employees to reduce their deductible amount. And there's a 0% increase for 2021. Do you want to vote to retain them? At this point in time, I don't know what changes are with the other company as far as Alt Care. You want to just sit on that until we hear from Alt Care?
I think so.
Okay. They posted last week, I got the information in, they're going to be doing a third round of COVID-19 money. We should be getting, the Village of Beach City, $35,351. I have yet to enter the expenses thus far. I know exactly where to go in and how to do it. I didn't have time today to get it done. I need to work on that tomorrow.
What's that now?
$35,351.
Thank you.
And before the evening's over, I'd like an executive session regarding personnel. And other than that, I'm done now.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. Mr. Baltzler, you are up, sir.
Well, good evening. Again, last one, I do want to apologize for misspeaking about Bolivar. I've gotten a lot more in depth with, the cost of water, and I'm seeing where everything's at, and it's, the biggest chunk would be, USDA sewer loan, being taken out out of the water supported. No?
Excuse me, no, water cannot pay for sewer.
No, that comes out soon.
That was just, I just read that off the auditor's report, so.
Unless I coded something wrong, but that's normally not how it's done. You have to follow the money trail of the
Right,
funds,
yeah.
okay?
And like I said, I just read that from there, so, I mean, if that's not the case, then, you know, even if I take that out, it looks like the water cost adjustment could probably be eliminated and still cover at least the expenses that I'm seeing so far. Again, I might not have all the expenses either, so. Other than that, I'm still working on sewer and electric, trying to come up with that now that I know that's the case. And I can start working on that, but it, you know, I'd still, I'd like to have to get some details on what makes up all those costs. Just make things a lot easier. And maybe possibly reestablish a board of trustees of public affairs to help with, making some of those decisions, so. The only other thing I got is, just looking back at June, July, and August on the water. Looks like the purchases were of roughly 2.7, 2.4, 2.3, and the billed amount was 2, 1.3, 1.4. So roughly about 2.5 million gallons lost over those. And I do understand that Greg's working on getting those cleaned up, and from what I've heard, it's come down from 50% to 30%, not 36% non-metered. So, I mean, that's gonna help, but, you know, with all of the other costs that are in there, I don't know if it's gonna make that big of a dent, so. I mean, that's really all I have for now.
I have a couple things for you. Number one, I appreciate the apology about Bolivar.
Sure.
Can you explain to the council where you got your figures last time regarding our electric versus the electric accounts in Brewster?
Right off Brewster's website, I pulled that right off.
Okay, why I'm questioning that is that when you quoted our amounts of money forward in our budget, I don't think you were looking at their electric fund. Their electric fund is over $3 million. I think you were looking at their electric improvement fund. If you add up their electric fund
Right.
and their electric improvement, their budget is over $4 million just in those two accounts. Where ours is, I believe, under 2 or around 2.
I know the last one I looked at, I think it was for 2021. I have to pull the paperwork, but I know, it looks like they may have gotten a grant to put into their fund, and I know they were over 10 million in one of those. Now, it could have been the improvement fund, but I know the starting fund for that year prior was 1.6, and then it went from 1.6
No.
to 10 million.
No, that's for improvement, or that's for.
That's for the improvement, but you have to consider the improvement and their electric fund. And you were insinuating that we should reduce our rates and give the residents a break because we are collecting more than Brewster. There is no way that could ever be. They have all the big businesses.
Right.
They have the different type of billing. So I would really appreciate that you be very specific when you go online and you talk about these things or bring it up at council, because
Sure.
I spend my time researching what you're saying to see how off we are.
Okay.
The other thing that I have for you is, there was an email sent to the mayor about something one of the utility clerks said, and I can tell you, she did repeat that to me,
Right.
but it was initiated from the person driving through who made the remarks, and she just agreed with them. It wasn't that she said, if you can't afford it, just move. There was a complete conversation there that the mayor wasn't aware of. He thought I did that. and it
No,
was-
I didn't.
Yeah.
I
He
I
said
said Sydney.
utility, but he thought it was me, and I looked at it and I clarified it to make sure.
Right.
And it was never meant that if people aren't happy just to move, it's that she was agreeing with what was being said at the drive-through window.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I guess that's it on that. We'll go with Mr. Geip, Chief Geip.
I don't have a whole lot for just a couple things. One, we got the computers ordered with COVID money, so we got those coming. I'm working with the Stark County Sheriff's Office on getting, updating some systems in our vehicles to where dispatch, I'm wanting to put a GPS in our cars, in the police vehicles. Multiple reasons, I can do it fairly cheap, I can do it for about $50 a car, so that's $100. We already have the MiFi. The main reason I would like to look at getting a GPS installed in our cars is it will communicate with dispatch and will let them know where my police car is at all times.
There is no GPS in the new cars.
So, it's kind of it's gonna bring us up to date a little bit, with the system I'm looking at working with, which should be no cost to us for the program itself. I'm working on it. I'm in the very beginning stages, but my officers will be able to communicate with dispatch over Messenger, as well as receive their calls in the computers from the calls in the car, cut down on radio traffic, and they can see the call before it gets to us. So
Can that be transferred from one car to the other then?
yes, well, I'll get two of them, and we'll use our Wi-Fi that we already have, and move the Wi-Fi with the officer, which is the portable internet that we already have for the cars. We'll move that as part of they take all sorts of equipment with them already when they get into a car. So whenever the next officer comes on, they'll take the Wi-Fi. That'll also tell me, and this is not the main reason, but a benefit to it, it'll let me know, and I've gotta look and see if I can do it to set it up, but it should let me know a geofence around where that police car's at. So if they go outside of this area that I pick on the map, it's gonna send me a notification. If they go past a certain speed limit, it's gonna show me, it'll send me a notification. If someone has a question saying, hey, I saw your officer doing 60 miles an hour down 3rd Avenue, I can then pull that up and be able to see how fast they were exactly going. If I can do it for $50 a car, it's well worth doing. The main thing is if they're not answering their radio and dispatch is trying to get a hold of them, they're gonna know exactly where to send somebody and put them close to it. So that's what I'm working on currently. That's kind of I'm working with Don Harpster, I believe his name, with the sheriff's office, trying to figure out what ways I can better help our dispatchers and help make sure our officers are safer just by letting dispatch know exactly where those officers are at all times when they're on duty. So it'll also help with sending, information on calls they can get on that computer.
Can I ask a question? You mentioned about the GPUs to notify you where your officers are. Is that just an illustration, or do you have a problem with?
I have no problem. So say I set up what they call a geofence, and I set it up for Beach City, Brewster, Navarre, like just say a 10-mile square radius. If that police car goes outside that 10-mile square radius, it'll just let me know. I have no problems with my officer right now. I think they all do a great job and do exactly what they're supposed to. But it saves us for if something happens that, for example, someone steals a police car, then it's going to let me know where that car's at once it passes. I'm hoping that's what I'll do. I'm still in the very early stages of the research on this, but I'm just letting you guys know this is where I'm.
But if they stole the car, they're gonna have that stuff all in there because your officer
could.
has that put in there.
If the officers in the car had to jump out for a call,
Okay.
it could be in there. It might not be, but it might, but it should let us know all these things. I'm still looking into, I'm obviously going with a free version of it, what Donnie Harpster recommended I go with, which is what, I believe I got the invoice for Canal Fulton, what they use. I like the GPS location mainly for dispatch to see where my officers are at.
Does any of the other departments around here have that at all?
Canal Fulton does, I believe Brewster. Brewster does have, I don't know if they have the GPS, but I know they have the mobile CAD that they're talking about. So, but the GPS is a huge thing, allowing dispatch to know where my officers are at.
Lead patrol has it, GPS.
Patrol, yeah. I know a lot, if you really wanna go with how many departments have GPSs, 9 out of 10 departments probably have GPS in their cars, there's a lot of them that do. But, I mean, some of them have hooked up to the camera
For
system.
$50, not a bad deal.
Yeah, it's minute compared to the benefits from it. So just letting you guys know, I don't need to get, unless you guys wanna approve it, I should be okay to approve that with Debbie. And
Don't the phones that they use have GPS?
they can at certain points. I had a program for a little bit on there and it wasn't the greatest, so, no. But yeah, so like, all phones have Google on them. Any phone that has Google Maps, you can look at your history and see where you've been at.
But dispatch is not gonna have that information off of their phone.
I was just asking.
Yeah, well, I remember whenever they put it in, remember we talked about it then?
Yeah.
And that's, I thought about that a while ago, and I thought, well, yeah, dispatch wouldn't have that info, you could still get it, but, yeah.
I don't even log into it anymore, it doesn't work. So, but other than that, that's, our cameras seem to be working fine.
Did you get them all in?
2 out of 3, I'm waiting on power for another one, but the other 2 of them are home.
Oh, okay, I know what you're doing, okay.
Yep, yep, 2,
When you be able to hook that up.
everything else seems.
I'll get on the VA about that.
Have there been any other issues since you put cameras in?
Yeah. I know
Not
what
that I've
you're
been told, it's kind of,
saying. Okay.
promise good thing,
Is that thing still pinging all the time? So is it,
nonstop. Let me know, I'm trying to.
well, during the day, that's fine, I mean, you know, we expect that because people go to the park.
My goal is to get it to certain times to ping.
Mhm.
And I'm looking to see if I can adjust that mainly at middle of the night,
Sure,
after we close down, to see
if anybody's
what
goofing
time
around.
they're there,
right?
yeah. I've gotta try to separate to where it still records without notifying me, but to notify me in the
Right.
middle of the night if someone's there. But other than that, that's all I have. Thank you
All
guys.
right, thank you, Chief.
Oh,
Chief
and I see-
Anderson, you're up, sir. Did you have something else? Oh, I'm sorry, Kurt.
No, you're okay, I got pay rates ready, I don't know if I mentioned that or not.
Yeah, we're gonna have finance, we're trying to set one on next.
I've got those ready for you guys whenever you need them.
Thank you, Bill, for getting the turkey set back to 8 for Halloween.
Dan McDonald actually did that, so I'll let him know you said thank you.
All right.
Total year-to-date on calls, 204, as compared to 2019, we're at 195. Mutual aid summaries as follows: give Brewster mutual aid 4, received mutual aid from Brewster 1, and received mutual aid from Wilmot 1. I don't have a lot tonight either. I want to let everybody know the portable pond is in. It's on the tanker, it's in service. That's the apparatus you guys approved several weeks or a month ago for our tanker. The gels were serviced by Hal. They did have a little bit of stuff that needed done to them, which we kind of seen that coming. We hadn't serviced them gels in a little over a year, maybe going on 2 years, trying to save money. So we had to put a little bit of extra money in them. It still wasn't terrible, but they're back up. They're running and doing good. The LifePak 15 monitor was ordered. It's got a 2 to 4 week lead time. He said we should actually start seeing parts of that ship this week. So if you guys start getting boxes over here, if you give me a yell or give Dale a yell, we'll start getting it.
Put that together then, huh?
Well, it's, I mean, no, yes and no. It comes as a unit, but it's got blood pressure cuffs and, I mean, it may all ship separately. So, so the one thing I am asking for is, you guys know, we get an EMS grant from the state of Ohio every year. It's a reimbursable grant. The money has to be spent by December, the end of December. The amount we received this year was $4,083.68. So what I am asking for tonight is I'm asking for permission for 2 things, and this will both be reimbursed by this grant. The first thing I'm asking for is permission to renew our CE Solutions. That's our online CEs that the EMTs have to keep their cards valid, EMTs, paramedics. We only renew for the EMS people. If you remember when we first started, we did fire. It was pricey. We go away with fire, just did EMS. Total on that is $1,736. That's 14 people, and that's a 2-year subscription. That will be 100% reimbursed by the EMS grant. The other thing I'm asking for permission to do is to purchase our contract for our LifePak 15. If you remember our last council meeting, you guys approved the $33,000 to buy the 15. We did not add the $1,800 contract in there in fear that CARES would kick it back out. It is spelled out right in the Ohio grant that it will cover maintenance cost on monitors. So I'm going to add that $1,800 in there. So That would leave us 547.68 yet in a grant, which I'll go back to the guys tomorrow and I mean, we're not gonna buy much. EMS supplies obviously you don't get much for $500. I hate to say that sounds sad, but it's true. But I would like permission to do them two things, and like I said, they'll both be fully reimbursed by the Ohio EMS grant, so I'm actually really not asking for any money.
When are you going to do the tires on, 138?
So here's the deal on the tires on 138. When 133 went to Advantech, which is our tanker truck, the drive tires on the back of the tanker truck are probably in worse shape than the drive tires on the back of 138. They're newer, but I'm gonna tell you, there's not much tread left on them, and they're down to the point where they're starting to chunk rubber off the insides of them. So my suggestion is if we're gonna drop money into tires, I think the Rescue's tires will be fine for now. I think we need to look at the tank. We've replaced the steer tires on everything, which is the most important. Both engines have rubber all the way around. The squads are good, the grass truck's good. The only thing that has not been replaced is the Rescue's got 30-year-old tires on the back, which would be 4 tires, and the tanker has, well, 16, whatever that, or 2006, I'm sorry, whatever that is. We would have to replace 8 of them because it's a tandem axle truck in the back. So I would prefer to replace the ones on the tanker before the Rescue. The Rescue we brought up because if you remember the steer tire was flat, we had to do it. But as far as drive tires, I think the tanker is definitely in more need of drive tires than the Rescue is.
Do you have any idea what the cost is?
So we looked at the quote that Ziegler gave us. The tires on the 2 trucks are the exact same size. They're a different load rating, which baffles me because the Rescue carries less weight, but it's got a higher rated load tire. And I think that's why we chewed the tires on the tanker so bad. So I'd like to get with Ziegler, if they would recommend putting the load H rating on the back of the tanker, then I would imagine it would be, well, they quoted us $1,800 for 4, so you would have to double that. It'd be $3,600. So, but I gotta make sure that I gotta get back with Ziegler, make sure that's what they're gonna recommend for that tanker, because right now it's got a load rating of G, which total baffles me, because that truck hauls twice the weight as that Rescue.
They don't put recaps on none of the, on the rear.
You can't put recaps on an emergency vehicle.
I'm just asking.
No, I understand it's a lot cheaper, but you cannot put a recap on an emergency vehicle.
Not even on the rear.
Mm.
Okay.
No. So
Will that take care of all of them in the back of the tanker?
that'll take care of all of them in the back of the tanker. In all actuality, you need 8 tires on the tanker and 4 on the Rescue. We need 12 tires. And then we would have good rubber on every vehicle we got over there. But like I said, for 4, they quoted $1,800. So I would have to get back with Ziegler, and I don't want to give you a price and say, yeah, they'll do it, and then them say, no, you don't want these tires on that truck. So
We may want to look into that Rescue also because.
they're 30 years old. I mean,
And with the people going out in it all the time, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's
well, like I said, the tanker's got 3,000 gallon of water sitting on its back end. So I mean,
Right.
it's a heavy truck, and it's shredding them tires on the back.
So actually, you wanted to go with 8 on the one,
8 on the one because it's a tandem axle truck.
and these are
The
4
other
going
one-
right now.
Right, the other one's a single axle, and we could get by with 4. Ideally, we would replace all 12 of them, but, and then that's gonna be
So
costly.
you're really talking about $3,600 right now.
Well, if that's what Ziegler recommends for the tanker. We only had them quote the Rescue, and that was on you guys' vehicles. We were doing the steer tires. And like I said, the tanker come back from Advantech, that was July or August. And that was a recommendation that we look at getting drive tires on the tanker, but then when the Rescue did what it did, we didn't have no choice, we had to jump the other way, so. But the tanker definitely, we need to entertain it soon.
Maybe if we, we'll take care of that tanker and then maybe first part of next year, we can
Go to
take
the
care of the other.
Rescue, we can do that.
Maybe even bump some.
I'll tell you what, I'll get
I'll
a
go
first.
Ziegler, see about getting, we'll have Debbie call him and, see about getting a deal. Well,
There you go.
you've been doing that, I know you are.
Yeah, I know, but I know who I'm working with, Scott Wiles, and I don't think that's gonna happen.
So anyway,
Yes, well-
tonight all I'm actually asking for, I'll get a firm quote, I'll come back. I do believe I'm on afternoon's next council meeting, but I can have the quote and have everything ready. But I'm asking for the 1736 and the 1800, and like I said, it'll all be reimbursed, so.
Make a motion for 3536.
Bennett,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Shock.
Yes.
And that is all I have, unless you want me in your executive session.
We don't need chief, do we?
Well, do you have something you want to go on for personnel too or not?
It's entirely up to you. I can tag or I can wait.
He can either go with us when we
Okay.
get together, or he can go by himself with what he has. It's up to you. You can either have one big group, happy family, or
Yeah, we can go in there
Two.
and talk about, we'll talk about fire first, and then we can go to the other.
okay.
Okay, we need a motion to go into executive session.
Make a motion to the executive session at 7:30.
Personnel.
Yeah, for personnel.
Personnel.
Second by Bailey. Bennett,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Richards, McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Chuck.
Yes. And the motion that we return from executive session at 8:19.
Second.
No action taken.
Bennett,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Chuck.
Yes.
Greg? All right. Well, I guess we'll wait for Mr. Bailey. I guess we could talk about the finance meeting. We're gonna need one next week. Either a Wednesday or Friday would be good if the finance committee is okay with that.
What day was that?
A Wednesday or Friday next week.
A Wednesday.
That'd be busy on Monday.
Would that be the 14th?
14th and the 6th.
14th, 16th.
Either one works for me.
But either one, okay, Jack?
Yeah. Unless I end up having to start surgery that soon, but I don't think. I
Oh,
will.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So you gonna sell me that?
Willie. I'm not gonna find you another one. I mean,
Okay,
I
what day would you like, on Wednesday, would that be
I think I
okay?
might go too. That's the next
Wednesday,
Okay,
6 o'clock?
I know you. do.
Wednesday, 6 p.m.
Any's nice.
That's what,
On the 14th, yeah.
But now I'll go to Harbor
What do you want to
Freight
prepare
and,
for?
Take on pretty early.
And-
Pretty early in there, too.
Yeah. You okay, Dan?
And while he's gone, another thing I thought of that I forgot to tell Bill, we received a call from one of the gentlemen from the Board of Elections. They did stop Friday, and it just so happened Dan was there, and he left them in. They wanted to verify that there is correct amount of footage and room to have all the workers and the booths set up for social
For the-
distancing.
For
And-
voting, yeah.
Yeah, for voting, and so there will be voting, and it's fine, the building's fine.
All right, Franny, we're gonna have a finance meeting a week from Wednesday. It'll be on the 14th at 6 o'clock, finance meeting. I know you're going, I'd be there, watch. Okay, Greg?
All right, couple things. First, we had a water leak on Fourth and Redwood Southwest here last week. We were able to replace that. Everything went really well. That's where Shock is building or redoing that house that was completely trashed. We replaced a hydrant up on Third, close to water. That hydrant was struck previously by a vehicle here about 2 years ago, and we had isolated it until we could, a year, maybe year and a half, where we could isolate and replace it. That's been done. That went well as well. We have an OPWC grant that's deadline is October 26th. That's a grant that's kind of looking to try to get possibility of purchasing water line for a project with another municipality around here. So we're kind of still in talks with that. I'll be talking with that village's attorney tomorrow to kind of see the viability of us to do that. But that deadline's in 2 weeks. And with that, I'll kind of go along with our 2020 municipal road fund. That's going to be bid out on the 12th and 26th in the Canton repository. I just received the schematics for that, if anybody wants to see it, exactly what's going to be paved. I have those with me here tonight. Also with Quicksaws, we were talking, the last time we had a water rate study done here was 2015 with ADR, so that's working on 6 years. we're talking about doing that in 2021, early on in 2021, which would be Quicksol's doing everything they can to kind of see where we're at and where we're gonna go. The other thing, we had our generators serviced here this past week. 2 of our lift stations were also inspected. Those went well. Nothing went wrong with those. It was just minimal parts for the generators, just routine maintenance things. The biggest thing that I want to talk about, and this is a big one, because we had dielectric testing done with all of our electric equipment. 2 of our 3 vehicles passed, our digger truck that I've kind of been talking about here the past 2 or 3 meetings. It did not pass inspection, and the gentleman and company that did this said that this vehicle does not pass or meet Department of Transportation regulations and is not roadworthy. They say don't even drive it on the road because it is liability and can get people hurt. So we have to look at solutions for that.
What truck was that, Greg?
That's our digger truck, screw truck, one that picks things up and you get on top of it. This truck in question, the chassis, I believe, is a 98, and then the equipment on it may be a little bit older than that. It was kind of a thrown together truck when we first got it from Merck in Zanesville. It's looking at about 20 years of service on it, give or take, depending. So that concerns me greatly because I don't want my guys working on something and getting hurt in the process because it opens us up for huge liability. So we got that back this past week. They were here, everything else checked out for it, but we're gonna have to start looking seriously into replacing that piece of equipment. And I mean, very seriously and quickly too. We can rent, time being. I'm not sure where all we have poles replaced with Osmos, who said we need to replace certain ones. And if we can't take our digger truck out because they say that it doesn't even pass the Department of Transportation regulations, that puts us in a little bit of a bind. But it's something that does need to be replaced. We started looking at options for it that needs to happen soon.
Brewster just ordered one for $256,000, a new one. They wanted to give us
Yeah, their old one.
$6,000 for that.
Yeah, the old one that they have is
It
just
it
old
don't pass
bar.
either.
Right, yeah, so it wouldn't make any sense to buy it, it's just be buying somebody else's problem.
Does these places like up there in Canton that has all these trucks, do they have anything that would pass?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
would
they
be a
do.
used instead of brand new?
They do. And that's, we can look at that. I know also, just off the top of my head, I know that renting one for a month from them, a new one that has not new, but one that's newer, it has everything on it, you're looking at $4,250 for a month. So this is something that we need to probably look into now. The fact that it didn't pass us, I'm not surprised by it, because it is an older piece of equipment, and even the pole cat on it that actually grabs a pole if you need to set it on it. Pittman, the company that produces those, they went out of business about 5 years ago, so even trying to find parts is going to be.
Would this company take this in and trade?
They would probably laugh at us and tell us to take it to Speedy and see if we can get scrap price for it. I don't think they're gonna take it, no.
No.
I could ask them.
It's just an idea.
I could run it past them, but I know what they're gonna say. They're gonna say there's no usable equipment on it. They'll just say that it's effectively a big piece of metal, and that it hasn't been, and like, even to say that we haven't updated or done anything with it, we have. I got records of all of it in here, where we've put money towards this thing. There's bills for quite a bit of stuff that we've tried to do with it, and it's just to the point now to where it's not even able to be maintained anymore.
If
So
we
we
would-
passed one of
If we would have to replace the pole,
Mhm.
what are we gonna do now? We
More than
don't-
likely, we gotta get a hold of Brewster and have them come up here to set one for us, because right now,
Gotcha, that's
we
fine.
can't do it. I mean, I'm not comfortable sending our guys
No,
out with
no,
this.
I don't
and
want you to.
One of our guys getting hurt, and then we're in a situation where, well, why didn't you fix it?
Right.
So I can look at that, get quotes for everything on that, for new, for used, for leasing, for all that. There's a couple companies around here. So that's the couple options we have to go with there, but it's something we need to address quickly. And I just got this from Ed, I believe, last Friday or Thursday. So it's something that I don't have one right now. If you just say, yeah.
Was
I
the
can
guy that
buy it.
inspected that certified by the state of Ohio?
We bet.
Ain't it awful funny, we've had that for how many years and nobody ever inspected that before?
No,
Yes,
no,
I
no, no.
have.
Have they
Dielectric,
really?
Oh, yeah.
we're mandated to inspect.
Did we
those.
have any trouble with the inspection then?
Not like this.
No, it's a whole different thing.
So between last year and this year,
Well, it finally got to the point
Not
where.
really.
Yeah, I mean, and we use that thing when you think about how many times do you have to go up and hang a transformer, or, I mean, it picks it does the majority of your lifting. That thing's doing it, it's digging your holes, it's doing a lot of things. So it's not like we just let it go to hell. I mean, we've thrown money at it before, but it's to the point now where they're saying, no, you can't take it on the road effectively. And if a company's saying that and I say, yeah, just keep using it, and something bad happens, it's,
Yeah.
no, I don't want my guys to get hurt, I don't want to hurt anybody else. So, that's the biggest thing I got for tonight, other than that. So if anybody's got questions, I'll start looking at options for that.
I brought it up to Greg earlier this evening about the water by the fire department. The sidewalk for the next property, there's water laying there all the time. We own about 3 or 4 feet where it would be grass. I thought about maybe they could look into it and see if we could dig a dry well there and put something over it so the water would have a place to go. It just lays there now.
Is it in someone's yard? The blue house?
It's right at
Right.
Terrazas.
Oh, okay,
It's right at the curb,
I know it.
and it looks like we own about 3 or 4 feet where we
Yeah.
could put that hole, if somebody looked at it.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Okay.
And that's all.
Oh, that's it, Greg? Okay. Steve, do you have anything?
Just briefly, with regard to what Devin mentioned with the sick leave payout upon retirement. There were some concerns in an email that I sent to council president, mayor, village administrator, I think, the chief, and clerk treasurer. So I'm still working on that. I need to do some additional research just to make sure everything's 100% on it. So I didn't want anybody to think I forgot that, and other than that, I don't have any.
All right. Do we have anything else to come before council?
I got a copy of the village, of Brewster's amended official certificate of estimated resources. Just to kind of clarify that, electric fund beginning at 2020 was 1.4 million. Other sources included 10.3 with a final of 11.7. Just, and then the electric improvement fund is 764 at the beginning of the year. Income of 535 with a final of 1.296. I have a copy if you want to.
All right. Look at that.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, nothing
I
else.
emailed a copy to you.
Oh,
Two.
we're good.